Alright guys, it's Matt with Thrive Off Grid. Alright, so today I'm going to walk you through building our 20-gallon retort. This is a design that I come up with. I don't know if it's how original it is. Usually if you thought of something, about 1,000 other people have thought of it before you. But anyways, this is what I come up with. So I've done a lot of the prefab already to try to make this short-winded. But I'm going to go over the basics of how this is all assembled and everything. So first we're going to start out with the retort itself. So I'm going to pull that out. And basically what you need is a 30-gallon drum. This is this guy here. So this is going to be the retort. And you're going to need a lid, but we're going to remove this rubber seal. And then we're going to basically install a vent tube, which will be this here, and this will be mounted to the bottom. And what this does is allow the gases to escape and go through the vent tube and then feed the combustion area, and so that we're not wasting any of the gases, because once this starts gasifying, those gases are volatile, and we could use that for process heat to keep the reactions going. In fact, when it goes into that mode, we call that hyper mode, and that'll be the next part of the build. When we show you the air intakes, you're going to want to throttle them down, otherwise you can literally melt the steel out of the bottom of this drum. Right, so what we're going to do, now I guess this is sort of optional, but I'm going to weld in. I guess you could nut and bolt if you don't have a welder, but I'm going to put these angles in here. I'm going to put two on the top and then two on the bottom, going the opposing way, perpendicular, and that will give the bottom some structural support when it gets into the higher temperatures. But even these bars will bend, so I mean it gets really hot. Right, so I guess before we get to this part, I'm going to show you how to do the vent tube. I need the lid right now. Alright, so what I've done is I installed this flange upside down. I'm going to try to take a look at this through the camera and see how well you can see. Okay. Alright, so what you want to do is nut and bolt your flange on here, center it, measure it both ways and try to get it centered. Alright, so now what I'm going to do, this is, the pipe that I'm using, this is 1.5 inch MPT pipe. And then I got these flanges on Amazon, and I'll leave links below where you can get these flanges. But they're all over on Amazon. Just look up MPT pipe flange and order the size that you want. But everything on this build are using 1.5 inch pipe flanges. Alright, so now once you got your holes done, you're going to want to knock the center out. So rather than having a hole saw with the guide bit, you can actually completely remove it and just fit the hole saw in there. And this is 1 3/8. Alright, so I'm going to grab our drill, knock that out. battery's dying. Alright, so now what I gotta do is reverse this flange back to the other side so we can throw our pipe into it. And then you can double up this flange to give it some more integrity. I'm not gonna do that, but you know, just some options. And also, I mean, this whole thing is totally experimental. Don't be afraid to be creative on your own. This is just what I'm doing. It's all based on the smaller one, which has been, we've had that running for almost 2 months or something like that. And that's made 2 55 gallons, well actually about 2.5 55-gallon drums so far. Just running it 4 hours a day, 4 to 6 hours a day. Okay, so as you can see, I got the flange bolted in place. So now all you gotta do is, well, I should probably weld the braces in, but I'll just show you real quick so I can simply unthread it. Alright, so we got our vent tube. You may have to play with this. It's going to depend on what barrel you have because they're not all exactly the same. But you need a gap between the end of this pipe and the lid. Right? So when you put the lid on, you need you know, an air gap so that the gases can escape. You don't want that restricted. So I'm going to put a 1, 2, 3 block in here. Oh yeah, I probably got plenty. I mean, that's, yeah, I've got 2 inches between this and the top of that's plenty. And we're going to have a similar situation when we put this inside the barrel, because you're going to need an air gap between the top of this and the lid installed versus the lid on this. But actually, when this is outside, we actually may be able to run this in an open top configuration. I'm going to have to play with that. I haven't tried it, so I can't see if it will work or not. But it's just something we'll experiment with later. But I'm going to go off camera and weld in the supports. And again, you know, you can drill holes and bolt these in place. But welding would be better if you have that ability and resource. Okay, so the retort portion is done. And I went ahead and removed the seal. And easiest way to do that is with a torpedo heater. Just put the lid side to the torpedo heater and just heat up the glue, and then it'll pull right out. Otherwise, you could use a propane torch or a heat gun or whatever you have. You just gotta get it hot and bolt it up. Now, that's what this looks like. And if you know, I went spot welded down around. The other one, it actually completely came unformed. And it kind of, it looked like a globe sticking out like this. So that's why I'm doing the reinforcements. It still works. I went ahead and reinforced that one after the fact. But yeah, as long as you can't just get this going and walk away. You gotta monitor it, and then once it goes into hyper mode, you need to throttle it down so that don't happen. But if it does, yeah, you might have to make a new retort. I'm gonna set this aside. Alright, so now, you know, we got these pipes here. So these are basically like a stand, but they're also a second stage air input. And this is 1.5 inch pipe. You could use a 1 1/4 inch MPT pipe if you wanted to. It's roughly about the same size, roughly 1.5. You'll have to get a hole saw to match it. That'll probably be 1 5/8. And the cut length is 24 inches. That way you got plenty of overhang. If you wanted to, you could put a bolt through here so they can't move out. The dimension, you know that I got this line here. And on the back we have the actual seam of the drum. So I transferred the seam to the front. So they have a reference point on the front and back. And then the dimension from center to center from here is 12 inches, so 24 inches across, front and back. And just below this rib, and again, this height is going to be determined by the drum that you use, the retort that you use. You want to have enough height so you can have a firebox in here, but you know, it has to be down low enough to where you can put the lid on it and still have an air gap if you're running that mode. Now, if you notice these holes, they're 1/2 inch holes, and I punched 7 of them, about 2 inches apart. And then if you look on the back, starting from the ends, I went all the way through, and then skipped that one, all the way through, skipped the center one, all the way through. Whether it works or not, I have no idea, so we're going to have to try it. I mean, this is the first time I built one this big. The other one, we had 5 holes that were 3/8, and I think that one probably could benefit from a larger hole size. Then you want to, I actually arranged them so the holes are shooting, you know, this way. And you know, this guy, if you take a 1, 2, 3 block, set it on top, and you know, I got 2 inches there. So as you can see, all right. So I'm not going to readjust the camera. And then, yeah, when you punch your holes, you may have to bend the sheet metal, because you're punching a hole going straight in this way, but the pipe's going that way, right? You have to get it started. And then, you know, you can, of course, weld these in place. And that's probably how I'm going to do it after we run this a couple times. Right? So we've covered that part of it. Now, our primary air, as you can see, I've installed these flanges. And these. So I got these 1/2 inch wells. These are actually pretty cheap on Amazon. Alright, so I got a nipple here. So there's 3 of those, and that measurement is I came up with 23.5 inches, and then I started on the seam, so I put a 1 here on the seam and then worked my way around the front. So 23.5 inches from here around to here, and then roughly, you know, 3 inches above the bottom. You want your air, your primary stage air low. And then between these three plus the air coming in from your second stage, there's plenty of air. If not, then we can always open the second stage air holes up. Or you could add a fourth one, I guess. But like I said, don't be afraid to experiment. So again, what did I do with it? So I'm going to punch that hole out. I did pre-drill them and tap them for 1/4-20, but you can just nut and bolt it if you don't have a tap. That. Alright, so the last thing that we got to do is install the door and a latch. I got this from McMaster-Carr. You'll have to come up with something. This is just what I'm using. And then for the door, you probably want to get, if you have another barrel, you can always cut a section out of another barrel. For your lid or your firebox door. But yeah, you definitely want to have a door on this so that you can load more fuel into it if you need to. Nothing's ever linear. Sometimes, if your wood's really dry and seasoned, then it's it's about a 1-to-1, maybe even better. If you once you get it into hyper mode, you can actually reverse the situation and basically load that firebox and then close them off, and then the heat from the second stage burn from the gases coming out of the retort will actually charcoalize what's in the firebox. So you'll get the full 20 gallons, if not more. So I'll show you these hinges. These are a little smaller than what I was hoping for, but I ordered these on Amazon. I mean, you can use a door hinge if you wanted to. You might even have one in the shed or something. But yeah, I'm just gonna weld these on like so, and with my latch, I just folded this over so that this couch in here, and then I'll probably nut and bolt this on. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, and then we'll come back basically with this thing completed. Oh, yeah. So this is where, once I figure out where my door and everything's going to be, you're going to trace your door out, right? But then you want to have about a 1-inch overlap. So, like say, center, I think. I think that'll work. Trying to get it so you can see it. Alright, so now I got a flexible ruler here. This is a little older, so I'm not worried about that. As long as you got, you want to have room, you can actually visualize it, once you get these lines drawn in. So this is going to be my cut lines. All right. Alright, so when I do mine, I'm gonna punch a small hole saw through here and around these corners. You never really want to have a perfect square because it can tear right in the corner. So, but yeah, this is gonna be my cut line. So that's I only got a ruler right in hand. So it's about a 7.5 inch opening that way. I probably will reduce that down. I would like a little bit more, but almost 12 inches in that direction. So, you want a big enough opening where you can, fit your feedstock in here, rather than putting small, tiny pieces. You want to be able to put something fairly meaty in there. Alright, so anyways, I'm going to go ahead and do all this, and then we'll come back and show you what it looks like finished. Alright guys, so I got that all welded on. I don't like how this turned out. Ooh. I got a bit of an issue here. Alright, so that can be fixed. There we go. Alright, so now I can access the door. So now I got a big open firebox door. So you can fit a lot of fuel in there. I mean, this thing's 24 inches in diameter, so. Alright, so now your retort will fit inside. Alright, so you want to center that. You're going to fill this with your feedstock. Basically, just put your lid on. I'm not going to do the band clamp on this one, simply because there's no way to get it on while it's in here. I don't know about any of you guys, but I'm not going to be able to lift this thing. I mean, I can barely lift it without fuel in it. So this puppy is going to be pretty heavy with raw wood, especially if it's got any moisture content. So it'll be doable after we use the charcoal, because it's fairly light. So you're going to lose quite a bit of the mass. That's okay, because we're using that to fuel itself, basically. So yeah, this doing raw wood processing, yeah, you're not quite using as much wood, but you're still using energy. You're still using gasoline to power chipper, chunker, your time. There's way more labor involved in wood processing than there. You're just cutting and splitting wood for this. It's just like loading a fireplace. You're not chipping it down, and you're not screening it, and then there's no need to dry it because it's charcoal. There's a lot involved to make an engine grade wood fuel for a gasifier, and then it doesn't. You know, a small gasifier just isn't gonna flow. So this is way less work, and you know, there's no limit to how many of these you can make. They're fairly cheap. If I could have found this drone used, the Retort, I would have less than $50 into this. Maybe a little more. These valves are, I think, well, yeah, less than $100, I'll say. Because I did buy the tubes new, the valves new, the flanges. So yeah, them valves are like $20, $30 a piece. So that's the majority of the cost. And that latch is $15. So that's that. The only thing I didn't go over is the lid. I'm probably just gonna run this in an open top mode. And then, you know, when this is done, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to cut any valves off or nothing. When the retort is done, you're gonna want to check whatever you got in here. And if that's been converted to charcoal, then you shovel that out, and then you close it all up and just let it stand, let it cool. And then once it's cool, then you can basically just pull this out. Because you got a lid on here, so even though you got a hole in the bottom, air can't get in here if there's, you know, the only way air can get in there is if it's displacing the gas that's in here, right? So you need a draft or something taking the gas and air away from this in order for air to get in to the retort. So trust me, we made almost 355 gallon drums of charcoal already, so we know it works. So yeah, there's no issue with having a hole in the bottom of this. So this could be a pretty cool fire pit. Not as pretty as some, but it would work. In fact, you might even be able to get a big grill or something and cook on it. But later on, I do plan on wrapping this with a copper coil for hot water. And then next year we'll probably look at using these, one or two of them, to heat the shop next year. That actually worked pretty good, the small one over here. And the milder, you know, above freezing, but you know, below 50, this thing's worked amazing in here. We do use our torpedo heater in the morning while we get this thing fired up, but once this thing gets going, we shut that down, and then every day this thing produces 20 gallons of charcoal. And like I said, yeah, I think it's been roughly 2 months, maybe not quite 2 months, maybe a month and a half. I don't exactly remember, but I think when, you know, January temperatures here in Michigan, where you're down in the teens or below that even, then yeah, we're probably gonna want these bigger ones. But anyways, oh yeah, so sorry, go back to the, you do want to put a lid on it, then you're gonna probably want to do like a chimney pipe so that you got a chimney drafting it. This here is a 6-inch duct flange. You can get them from Mastercar, Granger. I'm sure Amazon's got them. They're also called angle flanges because basically this is formed out of angle, like straight angle, and they got a machine that rolls it. But that's 6-inch, and it fits 6-inch stovepipe perfectly. I think 6-inch might be too small for this though. I think we might need an 8-inch with you know, because you're gonna have a short, you know, chimney pipe. You're not gonna put a, you know, 16, 20-foot chimney pipe sticking out the top of this. So it'll probably only be like 4 or 6 foot at most. So, but yeah, you know, that's one thing that you may want to consider. I think I'm gonna hold off on that. I think it's gonna work fine just in the open top mode, and I think it's gonna be a great alternative to having a fire pit, which we like to do here in the summertime. So that is the plan. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you all understood it. Let me know in the comments how I did, and then we'll see you in the next video. Thanks.